Next up, it's Movie Spotlight, a segment every Friday where we review some of the latest cinematic releases at the Korean box office and online. This week, we've got just one critic pulling a double shift is Jason Bechervaise. Jason, hello. It's great to see you.
Yeah, great as always to be a Django, albeit solo today.
Yes, flying solo today. Okay, so two films as usual. This week there's one local and one international, both in theatres. So let's start with the local release, which comes in the form of the, shall we say, eccentric rom-com Killing Romance. It has the same title in Korean. And it's directed by Lee Won-suk, who is known for his unique sense of style, shall we say, and judging from the trailers that I saw, it certainly looks like this film is no exception. Jason, can you introduce it for us?
Sure. There's no one quite like Lee Won-suk. He has a personality that lights up every room with his wonderful humor that's reflected in his movies. He spent some time in the United States. He speaks English fluently. And, I think as a result, there is a different sensibility to his films compared to many other filmmakers. His first two films, How to Use Guys with Secret Tips in 2013, absolutely fabulous feature debut. And also the period kind of drama, The Royal Tale in 2014. So they're the kind of two previous films he's made. His latest, Killing Romance, is another rom-com. His first film was a rom-com. It stars Lee Ha-nee as a popular actress. She's kind of mocked for her acting, and she meets this incredibly affluent, over-the-top figure called Jonathan Na, played by Sun-kyun. And so, she then retires from the industry. And in the meantime, we start to follow Bamu, played by Gong Myung. He's a student. He's desperately trying to get into Seoul University. All of his family have entered that university, and so there's a lot of pressure. They kind of ridicule him for not being able to get into the school. And so he has no choice but to go to academies. And he actually finds out that he's living next door to one of his idols, this actress played by Lee Ha-nee. And she, in the meantime, is not happy with her life. She's married to this guy who basically he's a piece of work. And so the actress and the student work together basically to try and kill the husband. And so that's all you really need to know. So It was shot a while ago during the pandemic. It was kind of left in limbo, and it's one of those projects that's been awaiting release. And so we finally see it in cinemas. It was released unusually, actually, today and on Friday. Films are usually released on a Wednesday.
Okay, so as we said, it's meant to be a rom-com, a romantic comedy, but there's this dark twist, shall we say, involving a rather convoluted murder plot. It sounds rather mad. Does it work?
It is rather mad, but I love this film. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, full disclosure, disclaimer here is that, I am very good friends with the director. So, okay. I guess I could be seen as biased, but, I'm being completely honest on that, in my opinion, in that this film, this romantic comedy, is arguably one of the greatest Korean rom-coms there is.
Wow.
And I'm not overstating that. I think it's unusual. I mean, if you've seen his other films, you'll get a sense of his his visual flair, his style, which is so idiosyncratic. It's unusual, it's distinctive. He's been influenced by a lot of filmmakers, Wes Anderson, for example. That's something that local critics have kind of pointed to. So, but I think it's very much, he's very much his own. Yeah, he's very much his own filmmaker. He makes his own films. He's completely unique. I think he's absolutely terrific. I think this film it's funny. It's incredibly hilarious. And the plot itself is quite simple, but actually I think there's some interesting things going on in terms of gender dynamics. So, the focus on Lee Ha-nee, for example. She was in Lee Ha-young's Phantom earlier on this year, which, is a film, it's a very kind of a female-driven film. And, I think anti-feminists went after that film, much in the same way that they did with Lee Won-suk's first film, How to Use Guys with Secret Tips. So, and I can see them doing it, when this film, following this film's release as well. So there's a lot going on in the film. It's visually just absolutely fascinating, and I think it's marvelous. It's completely bananas. But I love it, and I was able to see the film.
So you're saying it's kind of on par with some of these other kind of Korean rom-com classics like My Sassy Girl, other hits like A Very Ordinary Couple.
Yeah, absolutely. Those films are famous for different reasons. My Sassy Girl is clearly, an iconic Korean rom-com. It's one of the, I guess, most significant Korean rom-coms there is. And A Very Ordinary Couple, I think, is also a very different film. It's a very honest film. And all these films are distinctive in their own right. And I think Killing Romance is so different. And it's really, the thing is, Lee Won-suk made his debut in 2013. That was when the studio system was fully established. It was really hard to kind of become a commercial filmmaker. You can make your own films in the independent sector and have your own voice and make them quite distinctive. But it's a lot harder thing to do in the commercial field, and he did that in 2013. And my goodness, in 2023, in the industry that we have now, this film is not a streaming release. This film is in theaters, and so for him to make this just truly incredible piece of work that's in cinemas is an incredible achievement.
I have to say, I wasn't quite convinced when I watched the trailers, but we had one of our former critics, Piers Conran, on the show earlier this week as well. And after the interview we had this week, he was raving about this film as well. So it definitely sounds like it's working with our critics, at least. Do you think it will find an audience, though, in Korea at the moment? How was it received when you saw it? I believe you saw it at the film's premiere, right? Do you think it will find an audience? Because the Korean cinema industry certainly needs a hit at the moment.
Yeah, I'd like to say it will find a big audience. I think this film is different, so I'm not sure audiences are going to come out in big numbers. That's a real shame. I think the Korean market is in a difficult situation right now. The market's improving in the United States. We're seeing films like John Wick, which we'll talk about in a second. We see films such as Scream 6 that has done really well, and other films as well, Creed 3. Whereas the Korean market seems to be struggling. The increase in ticket prices, I think, is certainly a factor in that. But, I think it's hard to say what's going to happen going forward. I do think it could struggle, but I do think it will become a cult classic. I think there'll be a very enthusiastic fan base for this film.
Well, hopefully it will find an audience, as it sounds like it really could be quite a lot of fun. So that was Killing Romance. Let's turn to our international release now, and it is the latest feature in the John Wick franchise, as you mentioned, John Wick Chapter 4, or simply John Wick 4 here in Korea. It's been out a few weeks already in the US and in other territories, and Jason, I understand that it's done very well in America. That's despite the runtime being a whopping 3 hours long, Jason.
That's right. It's almost 3 hours long. So titled John Wick Chapter 4. Keanu Reeves is back as this, titular, assassin. Honestly, I had to read the... it's been a while since I saw the first 3 films, so I had to kind of read up on the first 3 movies. It's been a bit of a blur. Well, it is a bit of a blur. For those of you unfamiliar, Wick is a former assassin. He's on the run from this, what do you call them?
Criminal organization. Underworld.
Yeah, the high table. In this latest installment, Wick sees freedom by uncovering a path to basically try and defeat, the high table once and for all. But before he can do that, he basically must come up against some pretty formidable opponents, with powerful friends from all over the world. And so what we're seeing here is basically, I suppose, the internationalization of the franchise, which you see, in films such as, Fast and Furious, and of course the Marvel films. And so here we have a film, again, that's very much a bit more style than substance. You've got the audacious action set pieces, high concept storytelling, all very straightforward.
Sure.
But yeah, it kind of works. It very much works, actually. It also stars Donnie Yen, Lawrence Fishburne, amongst many others. Directed by Chad Stahelski, if I pronounced his name properly. He basically helmed the first three films. So he's directed all these movies and written. The characters were written by Derek Kolstad. He wrote the scripts for the first three movies. And so yeah, the franchise was born in 2014. It's amassed over $800 million. This latest installment, over $300 million at the box office. So yeah, it's been a big hit.
So it's done very well already. It's been a very successful franchise altogether. But Jason, I still can't get over the fact that it's 3 hours long. Is it worth 3 hours?
Oh yeah, no, it's great fun. I liked it a lot, actually. It's actually a really well structured film. It's well paced. It doesn't feel like it's going on 3 hours long. The set pieces are really, really good. It's not as bloody as I was expecting. It's kind of video gamey in some areas, but by the end of it, I came out thinking, yes, this actually works quite well. There's a real emotional connection to the character, and there's a sense of closure as well. So there are talks that there are going to be there is going to be another sequel, but this kind of feels the end of certainly the first phase of films. And I liked it a lot. Visuals, as you'd expect, fantastic. Keanu Reeves, he's an actor that doesn't say an awful lot. So, in Speed, I've been rewatching Speed recently. He's obviously huge in the 90s.
Yeah, what a classic.
The Matrix films, and they're not talkative characters, right? So, and this is a character that works for him really, really well. And I think I think people underestimate, how popular action films are when they're done really well. And so you can just have characters that you care about. You have actors that, that are well suited for, with the right personas. And you just have great visuals, you have a good director, you can make a lot of money. And I think that's what's happened with John Wick.
We'll end it there, Jason. It's been great to get an extra serving of you today. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, great to be here. See you next week. Bye-bye.